Okay, hi there, YouTubers. I just thought I would film a video of my last completed watercolor journal. This was started July 26, 2019, and this is the cover. This particular art journal is made out of Canson XL watercolor paper, which is pretty inexpensive watercolor paper. And these are half sheet size, so this was Friday, July 26, 2019, and I had taken a SKILLSHARE class on three-dimensional floral arrangement, so I kind of tried to make a picket fence, and these are glued in. This one keeps falling out, but I wanted to make the video before I just got rid of it. So that's that day. I think I completed a whole month at one time, which is like pretty amazing if you know me. And so then I again did the three-dimensional flowers and glued them in there in watercolor. And I went and looked for a quote, and the one I found was "Earth Laughs in Flowers" by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I just thought it came out pretty cute. Okay. So then the next day was Saturday, July 27th, and I was working on my faces, as I always am. And this one that I did this face in is real quick for me, and it's kind of cute. I mean, obviously it's stylized, right? But I thought it looked pretty cute, but I worked on some different eyes, and of those eyes that I worked on, I like the top one the best, which is that one that's pretty simple that I did. And then I worked on some noses, and I didn't like any of the noses, so as we go forward, you'll see a lot of my faces don't have noses. Faces are difficult, you know. Then I did the lips up. As you can see, I like the top lip the best. So that's what I was kind of working on that day. Then this is Sunday, July 28th. We were getting ready to go camping. I have a file that is called Inspiration that I throw things in that I am inspired by, and this particular painting, or this particular, I don't know what you would call it, a frame, and the color theme on this day was inspired by a brochure for a fair, and so I just kind of stole the colors out of that brochure and stuck them on this day, and I think they turned out pretty good. And here you can see I'm working on my faces, which is if you haven't taken my Skillshare class, it's called Watercolor Journaling for Beginners and Artists, and it's just a way to break through artistic blocks and to practice various watercolor skills on a daily basis and not have to really come up with the composition. So obviously I encourage you to take that Skillshare class, and I would appreciate it. It supports my art in a way that's directly supported, as in I take the money and I use it for Skillshare classes, or I use it to purchase new art supplies, which I'm always at a negative deficit because I love watercolor paints. Okay, so then the next day is Monday, and we were at Moose Creek, and I'm still working on my faces. One of the things I do is collect photos that I enjoy, and then I just kind of stylize those, and that's what this is, a stylized painting of a photo that I had, and you know, she didn't come out that great, but it looks okay. This is sideways, so I'm going to turn it, but this is my interpretation of Moose Creek Reservoir. I was sitting on the dock painting this, and you know, I just think it's good to challenge yourself, and one of the things that I do to challenge myself is try to capture the colors that are existing around me with my watercolor palette, which is huge. You know, it's 63 colors in my main palette, so you think I could capture all the colors. The other thing I try to do is just capture what I'm seeing. And I don't really paint in a realistic style. Not that I don't want to, but I just don't really have the patience or nor skill set, so I just do what I can. And this is my interpretation of Moose Creek Reservoir on that day from where I was sitting. Okay. So next we have Tuesday, and I was still camping, and I'm still loving the sun with the kind of crystal triangle shapes off of it. So I'm continuing with that, still working on my faces. We're camping. I caught a couple fish off the dock. Bothersome bees. Yeah, the bees were all over us, and that's kind of my interpretation of the dock. And the water is kind of green, so that's interpretation of that. The next day is Wednesday. We're still camping at Moose Creek Reservoir, and there is a ton of dragonflies, so I incorporated that into my journal for that day. And it was sunny again, and so there's me still working on my faces, and you can see both those faces there. Okay, so the next day is Friday, August 2nd, and you know, I get pretty sloppy sometimes. I just don't, I want to paint every day, and some days I just want to whip through it and don't really take my time, but I was loving on some potted plants, and so that's what I tried to capture there. It didn't come out that great. Okay, Sunday, August 3rd, sunny. Thought I'd do something different with my son. Still working on my faces. And always kind of like to explore this kind of negative painting. So I had masked that all off and then painted a garden around it. So it came out okay. Okay, and sort of sorry about the lighting. I didn't set up the whole thing. I'm holding my camera in my hand, and the sun is starting to come through. Okay, so then we're on Saturday, August 4th. You can see I kind of got into this kind of steampunk version of my son, and I started going with that for a while. My shadow's pink, so I put that into my picture. Still working on my faces. This is actually an ad for Praying Markers. I copied their painting just so I could kind of work on the faces bit, but then I was like, oh man, I forgot. I copied this. I'm throwing it in my journal. This is not my original painting of this face. I didn't draw it. I mean, I drew it, but I copied it. And everything's basically from an advertisement. So there you go on that. Okay, so still playing around with my son. Jumped into some gouache here. I also love gouache. Probably, I don't know. I don't have as much invested in my gouache as I do in my watercolor, like financially wise, but yeah. Gouache is cool, man. I love gouache, and my favorite gouache is Winsor & Newton designer gouache, although it's not as light fast as I would like. So I try not to use it in my permanent work that I might sell, but this is my sketchbook, and just look at those colors. Are they beautiful? They're just beautiful. And so, Bloom with Grace. I just threw in a quote on flowers. You know, I just look it up on Google, flower quotes. That face came out pretty cute, didn't it? Still working on my faces. I like that little lip with the mouth open. Working on my noses. It's okay. I thought she came out pretty cute, though. Okay. So, now we're into August 6th, Tuesday. Still exploring the steampunk and the geometric sun. It's been pretty sunny, so what happens with me when I'm doing my watercolor journals that a few days into painting the same weather or drawing the same weather, I start thinking of more creative ways to do it, and then I go down a whole little tangent there. And I have been on a tangent with my sons for a while, and I actually love summer and I love the sunshine, and so it's fun for me. Okay, still got my pink shadow, which is true. Still working on my faces. These two cats came from my inspiration file. They're some pictures I took on a father-daughter trip through the Oregon coast with my dad. in Banton, Oregon. We stopped in the shop, had these little knickknacks, and so these are actually a painting of some photos I took of some figurines. And they're cats, so, you know, cats are always fun, right? So I just love them, and I love the colors, and my dad's getting into the Day of the Dead stuff in his art, so I just thought I would incorporate that into my art that day. Then, I don't know what day this is because it's really not a part of my journal so much as I just did a page. And the quote that I put in there is, "Sunshine on the water makes me happy. Sunshine on the water makes me happy." We're getting ready to go on our trip here. And we're going to go to the coast. And there's Brad surfing. I'm going to watch Brad surf. And... "If the stars are made to worship you, so will I." Yes, that's what quote I put in there. Yes, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And yeah, praise God. That's all I can say. And that was the song I was listening to. Okay, now we're into Wednesday, August 7th. You know, still working on my sun. Had it in my mind that I wanted to do this kind of crystal sun. And so I'm kind of working on that. And it was cute, I think. I like it. And then I'm just trying to work on that whole crystal thing. And Sunshine is my spirit animal. Ha, that's true. Sunshine is my spirit animal. Okay, so then I thought, well, you know what? It'd kind of be cool to have some flames coming out of my sun because it's blazing hot. It was 100 degrees on that day, which was Thursday, August 8th. I thought I'd do a little dragon because my dad likes dragons, and I have a pink dragon across from me that I did in acrylic, a big painting that the dragon's adorable. The composition's not so great, so I will never like really show it. Well, maybe I will show it. Hold on a second. I'm going to zoom up and show you my dragon. And the colors are great. The colors are great. And it's pink. And they didn't come across that great probably in this video, but there you go. So this guy, he's cute, right? And then I just put a quote there that says, "It's hard to keep the neighbors from noticing us if we keep a dragon in the backyard," which is just cute. I'm thinking I'm going to do a dragon painting for my dad, so I was just practicing with that little dragon, which is adorable, I think. Okay, Friday, August 9th. The weather turned to crap. Always working on cactuses. They're always a favorite subject. I like other people's work, so I'm always trying to do them as well. And I put a pink background, which is kind of unusual. I usually have a blue background for, you know, I don't know, the sky. Okay, Saturday, August 10th. I'm still working on my blazing hot sun. I didn't put the temperature down, but it was hot. It was blazing hot. There's me still working on my faces. And then some more cactus. Which, just because I see these paintings of cactuses and I get inspired and I love them and I want to paint them too. But mine don't come out as cute as them. There you go. Okay, so Saturday, August 11th. Still working on my faces. And the weather was still crap, but it's 78 degrees, so yeah, muggy and crap. And then I worked on some color schemes. I took these color schemes from a photograph I had. It's different, totally different photo, but the colors were what I grabbed out of the photo, and so I pulled them out and decided to do a pink cactus. And so I really like the pink cactus. Okay, so the next day I was not even the next day probably, I'm still exploring those colors, right? Because I love those colors. I'm like, I love this pink and green and all of these colors that I just showed you, which I will tell you what they are, but then I did this painting in those colors. Okay, so those colors are Core PG50, which is the, let me see what that's called. It's Core, and I love it, Cobalt Teal. And then the next one is a Schminke Cobalt Green Turquoise. I don't have that palette in the house right now, so I can't look it up. But I think it's Cobalt Green Turquoise. And both of those two colors that I just mentioned are granulating. So I put the background as the Cobalt Teal, and then I stippled on some Cobalt Green Turquoise. And then I have Core PR 122, which is magenta, Queen Magenta. And then I have Schminky Magenta, which is PV 42. And then I have PG 50. What is that color? PG 50. Oh, plus. PG 50 plus PY 151. So it's the core plus Schminky. And I don't remember what the color is called, but the pigmented yellow 151. I don't have the palette in the house right now, so I can't look that up for you. Sorry. And then the last one is a mix with Payne's Gray. So it's this color and the yellow to make these two, and then I mix in some Payne's Gray. So I guess it would be 1, 2, about 5 color palette, which is, there you go. So anyway, then I did this painting with that palette, and I like it, you know. For a minute, I was in love with that. Okay, so then we go on to Monday, August 12th. Still working on my cactuses. I think I took this composition from a photo on Unsplash. If you're not familiar with Unsplash, it's a great artistic resource because folks put on their photos that for artists to use without having to give credit or citation. Sorry, I can't think of the word. Anyway, so a lot of times if I am looking for something and I don't have anything in my inspiration file that's doing it for me, I'll just go on Unsplash online and get something from there. So that's what I did, and it didn't turn out as great as I liked, but there you go. Okay, so there's my son again. I was pretty much in a rush this day, I remember, and I'm kind of doing gouache and watercolor here, so it's kind of chalky looking, which is a gouache, mixing with the watercolor, and there it is. I'm trying to do my curls in a different way because they were actually quite like dready looking, and it didn't turn out that great, but there you go. And let's see. Oh, yes, I tore my rotated cuff. I was sucking on that day, I'll tell you what. All right, this is a color scheme that I stole from a Skillshare class by Anna. I'm going to butcher her name, but I think it's Bucanelli or Bucataselli. I will get something that has it on there. If you have Skillshare, you can check out her video, but, you know, of course, check out my videos too, please, because it pays for my Skillshare classes. Okay, Watercolor Roses, and her name is, oh, there it is, Anna. So big shout out to her. And that's a class I took, and you'll probably see that later. Okay, so anyway, I stole her color scheme. That's me trying to work on it. I had to do this like quite a few times before I got something that looked reasonable to me. But I stole her color scheme on Wednesday, August 14th. And just kind of explored it with this happy rainbow unicorn, which sometimes when I just don't want to paint, but I don't want to think about what I have to paint. This is real easy for me, and then I can compare things by just painting the same picture over and over again. Okay, so here we go, and this is one of my attempts. I don't know if it's the first one, but at that rose that I just showed you from that Skillshare class I took, and always working on my faces. And this day I was in pain. My arm was killing me. The rotator cuff got torn. I couldn't lift my arm. It was really terrible. My left arm, though, I could still paint. Okay, so here I'm starting to move away from that color scheme, but I still kind of like it. You know, cats are always fun, so that's what I decided to do on that day. Always working on my faces, still working on my face. I'm starting to get bored with my banner there, you can see. And here's my cats. Why are cats so cool? I don't know. Okay, so then I'm still working away from that color scheme on this day. I got my grandkids and we're making zucchini bread because their dad dropped off a bunch of zucchini, and that's what we decided to do. So that is Sunday, August 17th. All right, Sunday, August, nope, that wasn't Sunday, that was Saturday, sorry, Saturday, August 17th. Okay, Sunday, August 18th, still sunny. Still working on my faces. Love cactus. Still working on cactuses always. Okay, then Monday, August 19th. I'm exploring value. And that's always fun to practice, right? And as always, working on my faces. Okay. Okay, so one thing from, this is another Anna, I can't remember her name, so I'm going to grab this again. Anna Bucchiarelli. This is another one of her classes on doing this hummingbird. And here's her, kind of the color schemes that I decided to go with, following her method. And I just wanted to have that in there as reference. And then I just incorporated it into my journal that day, which is Tuesday, August 20th. I'm still exploring her color scheme from the roses, which I really enjoy it. So a lot of her paintings are done in that color scheme, and they're all very beautiful. She's a very beautiful painter. I got sick of working on faces, so I skipped it. Still enjoying the geometric kind of elements to the sun. I'm getting bored with my banner, as you can see there, so I'm doing some different stuff there. And that is my first painted hummingbird ever, following her tutorial, and I think it came out pretty great for first time. And there is her Skillshare class. Okay, then I found some kind of Bujo banner elements I liked with the arrow, so I'm kind of working down that now, and I really like it. I think it's cute. And still decided to skip on the faces. I still have my pink shadow, though it's starting to fade. And then again, still working on some cactuses. I've got my reference photos for these cactuses off of Splash and or Unsplash. And you know, it's coming along. Okay, and still working on painting what I see as well. Okay, Thursday, the 22nd of August. Look how colorful that is. Not that this doesn't represent me in any way as far as, well, I have curly hair, but none of those colors, but those are the Anna Bucchiarelli colors, what I really enjoy, so I threw them in the hair. I like it. And then just kind of working through those colors, and I don't understand her concept at that point, so I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around it. And then I did that Skillshare class again, and this was the result. And I'm okay with this. I think this came out okay. So I'm going to quit painting those now. Okay, so I'm still working on those roses, and because I'm intrigued by that, and I really enjoyed that class. So still doing the arrow banner, still doing this geometric sun. Not so starting to put eyeballs on my faces again. And there's my rose, and you know, they're getting better, right? Okay, so on this day, Saturday, August 24th, did my hair a little different. Weather's pretty crappy, and this is incorporating that hummingbird into a photo, so painting, so it looks okay. Okay, and then here is the last day of this watercolor journal, and it was Sunday, August 25th, so I've gone through almost a month. Ooh, look at that sun. I think it's cute. Still working on my faces. What I like about those eyes is they're easy, and then they kind of look okay no matter how they're painted. And then this came from my inspiration file. I'm always wanting to do a painting of I Dream a Genie, so I did, and there it is. Make all my worries go away. Yes, I was anxious that day. So thank you for watching my video. If you like it, please like and subscribe. I'm pretty random in how often I post, but my next posting will probably be my next watercolor journal that I'm in the process of filling today. Thanks for watching my video. Bye.